Since the dawn of rock, many musicians have dedicated their existence to finding a unique, transcendental sound that would literally blow the minds of those whose ears it fell upon. Through the most excellent form of shredding, riffing, and at times snorting, these artists rose to fame, cementing themselves as rock legends. Many argue who is the best, the one band to rule them all. But I believe the true, definitive rock band has yet to storm the stage. Until now.
What was I supposed to do? I was born June 6, 1996 in this hay barn over here.
Really?
No. I had always been into music as a kid, like as long as I can remember. I would throw tunes on like a CD player and play specific songs on repeat and like jump on my bed to them. I didn't start playing guitar and stuff till I was maybe like 12 years old, and then more into school, like about middle school, that's when I started writing for the first time and started toying around with singing, because at the beginning of like even the idea of playing music and all that, like singing was never one of them. That was something that developed a little later. A lot of help from my dad. He encouraged me a lot. He gave me some incentives to like to get more into singing.
Well, we've always been into music. It's always been in the house, and especially growing up in church, we were always, my dad was very adamant to subject us to different kinds of music other than just church music. So a lot of that was like the Hendrix and the Bad Company and the Clapton and all that kind of stuff. Started playing drums, I think it was when I was in like 3rd grade or something like that. One of probably my best friend, he came over and he showed me this thing he learned from this guy at a different church, and it was Wipeout. It was that thing, right? So he did this, and we were super competitive, so I was annoyed at the fact that I couldn't do that. So I just made it my life's goal to be able to do that better than him. And then from there on out, drums just took over.
I guess the significance of this place is just because it's the place where me and my brother grew up. This is like where we all learned how to do life, kind of. There's a lot of stuff that does frustrate me more though, where it seems to be like problems everywhere that I'm having to fix. But there's still, I love the stillness and the quiet of just being out here and there's nobody around, and it's a nice solace to it.
Do you think it influences your songwriting?
Definitely. This is our house that we grew up in.
It's our parents' house.
Parents' house, yeah.
This room here was originally what we recorded our first record kind of thing in. We did a lot of we didn't really know a whole lot about recording at all, but we kind of winged it as much as we could, but you know, we didn't treat any of the walls. We didn't do anything we were supposed to do. We went all the way upstairs, ran a snake all the way upstairs and into my old bedroom, and we surrounded the drums with a bunch of used mattresses, and like it's disgusting, but it kind of worked because we didn't know what the heck we were doing. Everything was one take. Everything was one take all the time. So if anybody made a single flub, and that was the cool part about it, is because we got to become really like tight, and we became a lot better musicians. The fact that everything had to be spot on first take, that's it. So I think it worked out for the better.
I think we only recorded like 3 songs or something when we did this.
Yeah.
Yeah, but they weren't
terrible. Originally, this was
I don't think
a project we called Wild Hair.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, we were called Wild Hair because of my buddy that I was talking about with the wipeout thing. My dad used to call him Wild Hair because his cowlick was so huge. Before it was Wild Hair, it was Here.
There's a whole lore to how our name became to what it is now. Yeah. It's quite a road trip to go over. I don't know if you want to do that now.
Well, probably not. That'll take too long.
That's going to be like a sitting down thing. Well, so when he had left for college, I was trying to find something to do with a band while I was in high school. And that's kind of when I met Max.
So I knew Sammy through school. I think it was jazz ensemble or a talent show or something. But I saw him playing music and I said, this kid's pretty good. So I want to play with him. So I walked up to him and I was like, hey man, you want to start a band? He's like, yeah. That was not how it happened, but that's the story and I'm sticking to it. I always wanted to play guitar because my dad had a guitar when I was like 3-4 years old, and he would never let me play it. And I was like, Dad, can I touch your guitar? I'd be like, well, you can like pluck the strings, but I wanted to play the whole thing. He's like, well, get your own. So when I was about 5, my grandma actually got me one as a Christmas gift. It's still probably my favorite gift I've ever gotten to this day. It was just the only natural thing that I've ever done. Keith Urban was a big influence on me as a kid. Still one of my favorite guitar players. Then my dad got me into rock and roll as he was like driving me to guitar lessons. Yes was like the first real rock band I got into. Just prog stuff. Steve Howe still like my number one. It's a tough number to get, but he's my number one. When I was like later in elementary school, my neighbor, he's a jazz drummer called Mr. Barker. Well, I used to go to the pool with them and their family and their son. And one day he told me, he's like, I won't let you come to the pool with us until you play me a song on guitar. Well, all I'd done at that point was learn tabs. And I was like, oh, let me play you a Led Zeppelin song. And he's like, well, are you gonna like play something on your own? I was like, I don't know how to do that. So he started bringing me over, and him being the jazz drummer, we started learning. Like, he started teaching me how to improvise and do that kind of stuff. Really play with other people. And that was a big lesson.
I just remember finding a video of him playing like in this talent show one year. And then I noticed him when he came to the high school, because I think I was a junior when he was a freshman. And so I was like, oh, that's that kid.
We played in bands all throughout high school, and we were always best friends, and everybody made fun of us for like constantly playing music in the band room all the time at lunch and yelling at us to turn it down. Nothing's changed since.
Honestly, I don't think I ever remember the day or time that I met him. Because he talks about like, I met him at like backstage on the high school talent show.
That's what Max said.
I don't know.
We're at the variety show, which was our high school's talent show. And Joey came to pick up Sammy, and they looked pretty much identical. So I walked up to him, and I was like, I bet this guy's related. I was like, hey, are you Sammy's brother? And he was like, what? I was like, are you Sammy's brother? He was like, yeah. And then he walked away from me.
He's a good guy. He was a bit annoying at first because the age difference was massive. Like, at the time when we first started all playing together, like I was in college and this kid was basically right out of middle school, which essentially to me at the time was right out of diapers. So he was super annoying when we were a lot younger, but now like it's really cool because we all, we come from basically the same place and we like a lot of the same stuff. Because we wanted to at least make it last, is we wanted to make sure everybody was friends first before we just decided to play music. And playing music is great, but if they're not your friends, you can't live with them. And if you can't live with them, then the band is, no matter how good music is, it's not gonna last very long.
We had a group with me, Max, and Max's neighbor who was a drummer, and then Danny Arslan joined up with us. He was this phenomenal, like, classically trained pianist, and we started doing stuff together.
When I came back from college, then he was like, let's really like start to do something a little more serious.
I moved to Norfolk, where he was going to college at, so then we kind of split up again, so it was just me and Joey. So we were doing stuff in Norfolk together. In the meantime, Max was back here, and he joined up with this country band.
I got hooked up with a guy in Southern Maryland named Robbie Booth. Great country singer, great writer. Played with him for quite a few years and learned a lot. We played hundreds and hundreds of gigs, went out and opened up for some big name acts, and went studios, did the Nashville thing a little bit. It was pretty fun.
Me and Joey from Norfolk, we moved to Nashville, and we were there for a few years, and we had a bass player at one point during that couple years we were there.
It's a lot of fun. I wish we could have stayed longer in some sense, but in other sense, I'm glad we came back early. Stuff has to get taken care of back here at the farm, and that was more important to us than just living it up in the big city. And at the end of the day, like,
We weren't really living it up to begin with.
I tell you what though, the fact that I couldn't step off the back porch and piss, that was just stupid. HOAs and all that kind of crap, stupid. Whatever.
We came back home, and then me, Joey, and Max finally got back together.
Three.
So, did you all purposely color match today?
No.
No, but black is the coolest color.
I thought that was the absence of color.
No, black is the coolest color.
Since we came back home, like me and Joey specifically from Nashville, we wanted to continue recording, and we kept on toying with the idea of doing the recordings ourselves. And we finally made the decision to do it and bought our first real pieces of gear to do that with.
The super cool thing about here is we can try anything, and we can actually produce our own music rather than waiting on somebody else or paying for that studio time. That studio time is really, really crazy. And they're well worth their time, but for us DIY guys, it's not
For us
really
poor
in the
people,
budget.
We installed the flooring,
Yeah.
we painted the wall, built sound panels.
It's not 100%, but the fact that there's the hallway closet back there houses all the microphones and everything. Everything is fairly close to where we can plug something in real fast when we have an idea.
We would record entire tracks, like rhythm guitar tracks or something. We're like, well, the mids were a little off, or I want to try a different amp head or a different cabinet or something. We could just take the time to swap it out, and it didn't cost us anything else.
Right.
Drum tones were a big thing. We were throwing microphones out in the hallway, trying different things, seeing what worked, what didn't sound good. And we were able to do that because of what we made here.
The mastering and the mixing part is a whole nother art into itself. And not only is he the main songwriting reference, but he's also the main engineer, so to speak. So when you go from engineer to musician, back and forth, and that's a lot. So by the time the project is done with, and the mixing and the mastering we're kind of burnt out with that particular thing. But also we get to pass it on and still work with the guy we recorded with in Nashville, and he sends the stuff out to get it mastered by one of his buddies. So we all get to work in the same circle still. That's the great thing about the internet is you can work with all kinds of different people all over the world and still come up with something really awesome.
Usually the songwriting process that I go through is I'll have a riff or a set of chords, and I'll mumble stuff as I'm playing, and then I'll try and fit those mumbles into words.
When he brings me a song, I'll try whatever I can on the drums and just see kind of what fits. I'll try to get them to record the guitar parts, maybe the vocal if they feel like it. Because a lot of the time the vocal helps me know where I am in the song better than the guitar part does. So I'll sit here alone with my in-ears and I'll hash out different stuff, and then I'll just kind of model that whole Neil Peart way of doing things. And so far it's really worked for me, and I feel like it makes the song, at least the drum parts, more musical rather than just hashing something out like a punk drummer.
I guess I sort of am the orchestrator of guitar parts, if you could call it that. Like coming up with different voicings, sort of like how things will be played differently, coming up with leads here and there. I mean, we both kind of do that. And one of the songs that we'll be releasing, Spaced Out, is actually the first time we got to do like a double guitar solo, which I was pretty stoked about.
When it comes to recording our stuff, like he's the ears. He knows what sounds good especially when it comes to guitar tones.
He also helps out with drums though, for sure, because there's a couple instances in these songs we made that I was really struggling with some parts, and Max is not a half bad drummer.
Whenever they see you all pop up and they're going to play your music, what do you want them to expect just coming from you guys?
The best rock and roll they've ever heard.
I just want to be loud. If it sounds great, good, but I like loud.
To show up.
That would be nice.
Seriously, I would like people to show up and leave changed listening to our music. That'd be cool. Everyone in life goes through hard things, and I think a lot of the music that I end up writing speaks to the very real life sense of going through those things, but knowing what we have behind our backs, keeping us afloat through all of it. That's my main goal, and that's how I like to write.
First and foremost, we do it for us because we like to write this kind of music, but I hope other people like to listen to it too.
We are the Deadrise, and we are going to be releasing a few singles and a few music videos next year.
First one we're going to be releasing is called I Won't Be Shaken. Second is a song called Emotionally Illiterate, and then the third is called Spaced Out.
Be on the lookout, follow our YouTube channel, like and subscribe, hit the notifications button. What else do we got? We got Instagram, we got Facebook, we got personal pages, we got
T-shirts!
we got t-shirts. We'll be releasing albums when we have those made. So yeah, we're the Deadrise. Listen to our rock and roll, baby.